Good afternoon. Steve Vance. Hey, I'm the pastor, so they tell me the pastor here in Cooper. And I will be your guide today on this journey through the life and times of the Bible. You are welcome. We each have a different role to play, but we are playing today a wife, a sister, daughters, a son, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, best friends, acquaintances. Each of us has a different role to play today. We're different. Today, yesterday, we're different than we were yesterday, and we will be different tomorrow. Each Sunday, we try to start our service with a centering exercise, which I would like to invite you to join me in today. I invite you, one of many things you'll be invited to do today, join us here. Take a deep breath through your nose. Close your eyes and exhale through your mouth. And again. Forget about yesterday. Don't worry about this afternoon or your travels. Be present. Feel yourself in the seat. Feel the people next to you. Hear the silence. And above all else, know that you are welcome here, just the way you are. There is nothing you can do to make God love you any less. And there's nothing you can do to make God love you any less. We love, trust. Any words that you have? Some of these are down the hall. One. Nice. Through service or private route is the what route? Because I'm back to the door, look at the next church and back here. Didn't mean wet. The privileges that I have while I've been with these wonderful people is that they have forced me to learn and to appreciate culture. The sounds are the experience because of some of you to learn from others. One that touched me, and I know many of you, is a poet named Mary Ong. Very little poem, which I find especially fitting for today. And it's called Wild Goose. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about this bear, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear petals of the rain are moving across the landscapes over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination. It calls to you like the wild geese. Over and over, announcing your place in the family. And each of us today, from this moment forward, will be searching for our place. And so 2,800 years ago, we were blessed with one of what is referred to as the minor prophets, Micah. Micah was having a conversation with God about what we as humans needed to do to please God. And this is one of the things that he was told. And this comes from the chapter of Micah. He has told you, human one, what is good and what the Lord requires from you to do justice, embrace faithful love, and walk humbly with your God. One of the most famous poems that we know of in the form of a song was written by David about how he cares for his flock. The Lord is my shepherd. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of the righteousness. His name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art thy rod and thy staff. Preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with my cup. Surely goodness and mercy will reign all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord. Please join us in, I believe, was one of God's favorite hymns, the Old Rugged Promise, verses 1 and 4, written in here today to celebrate the love of a man, the love in a man named God. And we all share some of his life and honor him. It was a brief but worthwhile time together. And it was rather unique. The first time I met John, I didn't actually meet him. I saw him come through the door. Our guy was. Came in and he took his spot about 3 rows from the back, a little bit stage left. He sat down. Now, Katie was here earlier than Don because she was in the choir. And one of the first Sundays that I was here, I guess the first time, Amy came up to me with this little thingy, this big microphone. They're like this, fits on here. This one's okay for you, but not for us. Don's ear. It's key to the story that you understand that someone in the room did not show me how to turn it on. So there were just too many of you work the room. Greeting people, saying hello, and because I can't see myself funny. I would try to say something funny. I walked out one day with Donald here, and I were connected, and I say something to a lady that I think was clever, and I thought we might get a response, a laugh. She's still big. I'm the corner of my eye. He's definitely. We've had it in the lady. So we went on that way for weeks, and every now and then I would see someone smile on his face, and I was out fooling around with those of you in the congregation. Now and then his shoulders would jump. So I knew he could hear me. And decided that wasn't enough. So sometimes I would lean over and say, "Don, can you hear me?" Sometimes he would ignore me. Sometimes he would smile, so I knew. When the last few months, been a little harder, and he would come in and he would put his arms up on the pew in front, put his head down. I didn't intrude. He was here, and I was hoping he was praying. Probably he was just resting. But now and then, see those shoulders. And every now and then, you're still hearing me. Once he raised his head to smile at me, so we had this connection. And I miss that connection. I'd like to give you a chance sometime today to think about a connection that you miss with God. But I did have the good fortune to spend the Katie's invitation an hour and a half or so with she and Don at the new house they had, the new place. And it was an opportunity for me. It was a wonderful animated conversation. Yes, as you had more opportunities than I could talk to. But he was quite a talker, and I could hear him very well. And I live in Lewis County, which is north of here, about 50 miles, but it happened to be some time the Don worked while working for Dairy Lee. So we had some common acquaintances. We talked about milk and farms and cheese. But I learned a lot more about the case than this person. It was a rare opportunity. Great. Today's reading In today's reading, Micah suggests to us that what we might do to make the Lord and do justice, embrace love, and walk. The size of God's personality and the voice, and his voice belied his truth. It was his demeanor and his gentle actions that reflected his true spirit, and they wonderfully portray the love of man. Stories abound about God's generosity, from helping out friends in need of some kind of support, leaving large tips and savings, especially in college. Now, you know more about God's and during the day, we'll hear from his family and we'll learn more about what his passions are. What I do know is that almost since forever, I read a couple of good friends and went down to the Bronx, ventured down to the Bronx for a couple of games for his team. I'm pretty sure that this is both a story and a story about his devotion to friends and to his team. Micah speaks to us of justice. For many of us, justice, the justice that we give and the justice that we receive, is a matter of innocence. He was honest to God justice. And his justice is on the record. God's version of justice is exemplified by the story of a young amorous couple who were discovered settling. Who was discovered separating the bicentennial weekend on public radio. It's remarkable in our legal system. But this couple got to go before JP. One could see this thing. Awkward young couple. There's Don sitting there trying not to laugh. So then, he wouldn't make them feel any more uncomfortable. So, as his inhale, pause, smile. Then he said, how about we just don't do that again? And loyalty and passion, which fostered almost 65 years of marriage. Whatever they found that they liked in each other, which transcended the years and the changes. My wife Joanne and I will be married 47 years this August. And she's pretty sure that she has lived with 4 different men. I think she missed one. We can only catch the number of different people that have over the years as we change. Change is so inevitable in our lives, especially for married ones. And it is a triumph to both of them, both of these beautiful people. But they had the heart and the mind first. Getting to exemplify the qualities described, he was a man. He was a good man, a caring man, a humble man. Qualities that qualities that exemplify love. Please pray with me. Oh, great love. We give thanks for the life of God McGhee as we give thanks for all your children who have lived on earth and now live eternally with you. We give thanks for the gifts they shared, for all in them that was good and kind and just. We give thanks that they know now the peace they so richly deserve. Help us to know that in life and in death, we are all your children and therefore loved with truth. And now, please hear us as we, with the knowledge we are all your children, pray a prayer. Jesus. Amen.
Hi, everyone. I'm Doug McGhee. I'm the son. And I've spent a lot of the past week in some trepidation that some of the content I'm going to cover here today wasn't very appropriate. I'm pleased. I had a hard time putting this period together. It wasn't because of a broken arm, it was because my dad really didn't leave a lot of material behind. Honestly, the challenge here is finding, what things to say. He left material behind like he did everything else big. So today I'm going to focus on two things. Two of the gifts that he gave to all of us kids: resilience and resourcefulness. And for resilience, let's go back over 40 years to a farmhouse in Sudan and a water line that comes from the spring 200 feet underground up to the house. And 3 days in a row where the temperature hit 40 below zero. And when that happens, you might find that you don't have any water. Right? How do you get through that? You get through that with resilience, mostly with a stiff upper lip, and maybe some showers at the high school at 7 a.m. and 25-gallon milk cans full of water that the Yankees provide you from their milk house. Even resilience has its limits, and in this case, I think we hit them because the very next summer we got a well. Being resourceful people, not only did we get the well, but for the 15 feet of pipe that came from the cellar wall to the hot water vehicle, water heater, we wrapped that in heat tape so that that line would freeze and we would never have frozen water again. But the best laid plans of mice and men don't always work out in student. And the water did freeze. And when we went to diagnose the problem, what did we find in the cellar? Well, let me back that up a little bit. Did you know that red squirrels love heat tape? Because we found out when you put it with something to see what the problem was, and then we see Dave shorted out. I mean, it was a red squirrel because he was still stuck to the tape. That's resilience for you. I can move on to resourcefulness. And we'll fast forward 5 years to the scene of a returning college student coming home from break. And it's been over 22 shells. Yeah. Yeah. Why are the bullet casings all over my bed? Let's roll over. We're supposed to move in the street. I'll walk too close to our mitigate here. And being a resourceful band, I probably decided to take care of that problem. In the most direct way possible. I'm 12 for 12. Look at right now, you know, like you see in the photo right here. Here, grows short. I could talk about resourcefulness a lot, but I would like to hit just some of the high points. Some of my favorite stories, but there's how do you get a softball team inside an Impala wagon? But what you take your smaller people, your skill position players, and you put them in the wheel well. And then you close the wheel well, and then you put your bigger players, you know, your power. You put them up in the main part of the wagon and off you go. How do you defend your sweet corn patch using only a shotgun? And my favorite, how to manage your fastidious boss when all you have is some baling twine and an orange cat. I can go into that one later on too. So, there you have it, a life of humor and grace and resilience and resourcefulness. And if I just one thing. A working mic. No. Knowledge, activity, and a little grit, you can find your way through anything. So Dad, I'm gonna miss you. Not a day will go by that I don't think of something and laugh or draw upon an insight you had. I just want to thank you for making the good days great and the less good days manageable. We'll see you soon enough.
How's it sound? I remember sitting with Randy Smith in the balcony of this church as a middle schooler, by way of Holly, the middle daughter, sending paper airplanes down to the congregation, and then hiding behind that curtain, thinking nobody would know where the airplanes came from. And there was my dad's beckoning finger right after church, calling me over to school with me, even though he was clearly very amused. I guess he saw himself in us. And as the story goes, he once dropped a nickel in the church he grew up in and crawled under all the pews during church to reclaim it. He was even more amused when Randy, Jennifer Hughes, and I decided to perform the Mickey Mouse Club song for our 8th grade confirmation project. With our mouths ears on. Not the best choice in retrospect. But my dad got so much mileage out of that story that it was worth it. He liked Daredevil. I look up at that balcony now and remember a Christmas Eve service when my son Jason was 2. Jason. The Advent tree was presented, the 5 candles were lit, and my son, up in the balcony with me, yelled, "Is it somebody's birthday?" My father loved that, just as he loved all kinds of mischief. I don't believe my father was ever bored, because he was interested in just about everything. He delighted in people's stories, but one had to be careful what was shared, because it only took about an hour for all the boys at the diner to hear the news. It's not that my dad was a gossip, and he never had ill intentions. He was what I have to call a sharer of news. There was no such thing as a confidentiality agreement. And it was impossible to be mad at him because he loved sharing the news so much. My dad didn't miss anything, spoken or unspoken. But he kept his opinions to himself, except on the rare occasions when he'd sum up his thoughts in just a few words. Like the year he sat down at a beautiful Thanksgiving dinner my sister Laurel spent the entire day creating. And he famously said, "The turkey is going to Statement quickly became a hallmark phrase and can be heard to this day. But more than anything, my father loved us and was so proud of us. Whether he showed that with a 5-pound block of cheddar, a fresh jar of pepperoncini peppers, or the willingness to load up his van and cart my furniture from New York City to be refinished upstate where it would cost less. There was no doubt how he felt. The love was huge. Over the last couple of decades, I accompanied my dad and his pals to Yankee Stadium each year. Last June, I suggested to my mother that we rent a wheelchair for him. She didn't want to ask him because he would growl at her. So I called my dad's best friend, Dwight, a man close to my own heart. And I asked Dwight if he would suggest a wheelchair to him. Because my mother was afraid to growl at him. Dwight said, "Of course, Holly. It won't be the first time Don's growled at me." My dad declined the wheelchair. We made it through the game, a wonderful 13-0 game against Detroit. But it was tough for my dad to walk, even with his walker. So on Christmas Eve of this past year, as he and I sat together discussing our plans for Yankee Stadium this summer, I said to him, "Would you consider a wheelchair this year?" He said, "No." That's my stubborn dad. and I miss him to pieces. The boys and I are going on to Yankee Stadium this year to celebrate him. And I know if we listen closely through the stadium walls, we'll hear his laughter and probably a few of his stories. The same laughter and stories that lit up the world. I'm the shortest, sibling, if you couldn't tell. Anyway, my dad and I shared one thing in common, and that is our big voices. We have big voices. So if you knew this, my father loved music. Even though the poor guy could not carry a tune to save his life. And if you ever sat next to him or were around him in his pew back there, you would certainly agree. But that never stopped him. It never stopped him from standing up and singing as loud as he could. And, you know, it do sound like cataloging for a sitcom movie, but he didn't care. I'd stand there next to him, and he'd look down at me and give me that little cat-eye grin, and he'd soldier on, singing as loud as possible. Anyway, he loved music. He took me and my siblings and my mom, Douglas was still a baby, see Johnny Cash when I was 9 years old at the Toronto National Exhibition. Johnny played through the pouring rain. June came out, and it was my first concert I've ever been to, and the one I remember the most and the best. He loved his music, and he loved to sing. So I hope you can all join with me in sending off my dad to one of my favorite songs. This is for him, and if you can't sing, don't know the song, please sing anyway, and as loudly and as off key as possible, because he would certainly appreciate it. So here's to you, my darling dad. Love you and miss you forever. Here we go. Oh, Danny boy, I love you from glass to the summer is gone, and the sun if you must go, and you must come. Oh, Danny boy, and if you come, and if I will, I think the place of my youth, and hear them say that God is for me. And Love you, Dad. Well, if Dad were here, he would hardly move. And we would all know he hardly moved because he would turn to the person next to him and whisper his hearty opinion. He would be so happy to see everyone here. He would be so happy that his Swiss son Jean Daniel and his partner Chris flew from Zurich to be with their American family this weekend and honor Jean's American dad. Dad was a man of a booming voice and a bountiful laugh, as has been well recorded by his siblings. And he was also a man of many mispronunciations, which extended even to the name, which you might think would be easy enough to pronounce, but not for our father. Who called me Avalon, son, my entire life. Don was a man of booming voice, but when it came to matters of the heart, he was not a man of the spoken word. He was, however, a man of the hallmark card. And during a stretch of time, a year ago when he couldn't drive, he asked me to take him to CVS so that he could pick out a card for his wife. It was extremely important to him to pick out just the right card for her for every birthday, every anniversary, and every Valentine's Day. So picture me spying on him from the end of the card aisle at the Mapledale CVS. Big man, wool cap, cane, picking up one card, carefully reading it, putting it back, picking up another card, carefully reading it, putting it back. My father would never have understood the huge wave of love that I felt for him in that moment. In an enormous person with an enormous presence, it can sometimes be easy to overlook the tenderness and gentleness that also dwell within. He eventually handed me the card he had selected for his wife. He wanted me to read it. He wanted to know what I thought. There was a shy and tentative look on his face, and in that moment, it was easy to picture the little boy who still lived inside him. I hold in my heart now all the men he ever was. Little Donnie from the dairy farm on McGhee Hill Road. The young man that young Gabrielle first glimpsed on the stairs at a square dance, struck immediately by the sparkle in his eyes, his incredible sense of mischief, which we all knew so well, and the intensity of his interest in everyone and everything around him. I picture the young husband dancing his young wife around the Grange floor on poker night, and then picking up his tiny children and setting our feet on his enormous feet and dancing up the road too. I picture the father who would emerge from gas stations on our summer road trips, his hands full of full-size candy bars, one for each child. I picture the father who knew how much his daughter, Aloe's son, wanted a racetrack for Christmas one year, and who stayed up all night Christmas Eve putting it together for her so her dream would come true in the morning. I picture the father who literally every time I saw him for decades would fling his arm around me in a bone-crushing hug, happily count each of my ribs, and happily bellow,
I picture the grandfather who struggled into a suit and tie for his granddaughter's wedding last fall, and who stayed at that reception until every dance was danced, holding court for his children and grandchildren, all of whom adored him, all of whom loved those bone-crushing hugs, all of whom never saw the man be anyone but himself. So, Dad, wherever you are now, I'm assuming you can hear me fine. Remember that day in CVS when you wanted my opinion on the card you bought for Mom? My opinion is that it was beautiful and heartfelt, like all the cards you chose. But I want to tell you something else, which he would never have had the ego even to think of, which is that if love is defined not with spoken words or even hallmark words, but with action, and you, Dad, you who volunteered all those countless hours, you who with your wife took such selfless and steadfast care of your mother all her funny years, you who never went back on your word, you who made Christmas magical for your children, you who I don't remember ever uttering a single word of complaint, even when your appendix burst and nobody would believe you. Sorry. You, who no matter how far you got, would lift yourself to your feet every time one of us showed up. And then when we left, stand on the porch waiting until we were out of sight. If love is action, Dad, then your whole life was defined by a series of unsung, silent acts of love. It's our turn now to stand on the porch waiting. Rest easy, big man. You earned it.
Thanks to the good people of Twin Churches. I come to this vocation a little late in life, as you know, or you know. I found in my research and work one day a verse in the Bible, which, because it has given me a place, put my foot. That is in each of you. From the first book of John, comes this simple line. No one has ever seen God, but if we love one another, God lives in us, and his love is made complete in us. No one's ever seen God, but if we love one another, God lives in us. I'm pretty sure, in fact, I'm more confident since the last half hour, that Don McGhee loved pretty well. And that means there's a nice portion of God in Don. I think he knew that. I wish I told him. And we spent the last hour trying to tell him. I would like to suggest and invite you, as a tribute to John, to find someone in your life that has loved you, has taught you, that has taken the time to care for you. Find that person and love them. Find that person and tell them. No emails. Find a phone number. Find that person in person. Please And if you're able to join us in the next hymn, which I'll fly away, also the Trinity. Please remain standing as you remain in up penance, sitting in the I'd like to thank you all for being here today. I know that God's family, thank you all for both of you from some family in the greater scheme of things. I would like to encourage you to be careful on your way home. I would like to suggest family remember their dinner this evening is not an Irish way. Good job. And as you go out into the world, and have courage. Hold on to it. Return no one to people, strengthen the faint-hearted, support the weak. Honor every person that you love and serve. Rejoice in the power of the Spirit. The wonderful. And before I growl that, there is a reception following this. Please join us for continuation of this.